Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about the static keyword in C++. So there's a couple of different meanings depending on where it's used. You have static variables, you have static used inside classes. So we'll go over the different cases. So let's make a simple program. Have it include IOStream and then our int main. Okay, so this is our function, and let's go over the most common case that you might see, which is a function that declares a static variable inside the function. So if we have a void increment, for example, inside you could create a static variable by using the keyword static, and then let's say our variable that we're creating is an integer I. We'll set that equal to 0. So what the static keyword does is when it's called one time, the first time it'll declare it and initialize it to 0. But then if you call it another time, it will remember that it was already declared and just do some action. In this case, it's increment, so it's I plus plus. So this will only be set to 0 once, and then all other times it'll just be incrementing. Okay, so in here, if I call increment, if I put a breakpoint, let me save this. Okay, so if I run this, you should see the I variable. Let's see. Okay, so let's actually put our breakpoint at the increment line. So if we do run and start debugging, we will see that if we step into, it's going to go right here. And then if we step over, I gets increment to 1, right? So now if we wanted to call this function again, and if we start debugging, or actually let's put our breakpoint on the first one. So run, start debugging. You're going to see if we step into, I is 0 right here. And then if I step over, I becomes 1. If I step over again, it's going to leave. And then now I'm in the second increment. If I step into again, notice that I is already 1. And if I step over, I becomes 2. Okay. So what that means, like I said, is that the I is only initialized to 0 once, and then thereafter it's remember what it last was and keeps incrementing from there. Okay, so that's how you use a static variable inside a function. Now let's go over the static variable when it's used with classes. So let's say we have a math class, because who doesn't like math? And let's put public, and inside public, we could have what's called a static variable. So to use a static variable, what you would need to do is you could declare inside. So we need a semicolon there for the end of class. So the way you would call it is say int the variable type and then math, which is the class, colon colon num equals 1. So you could actually use static variables without an instance of a class. So that's how you would use it. And here, if we wanted to output, we could say std cout math colon colon num, a new line character. So if we run the code, we should see our output 1 show up. Okay, so that's how you use static variables inside of class. Now let's say we wanted to use a static function. So we could say static int add, and then maybe we have two numbers, x1 and then x2. And all this is going to do is just return the sum of the two numbers. Okay, so if I try calling this, let's say we have a int answer equals, we're going to call math colon colon add and pass in the two numbers. So if I put a breakpoint here, we will see the result. So answer is 3, okay? So the benefit of this is sometimes you have certain functions or variables that you want to have belong in a class, but not necessarily want the person to create an object. then that's where you would go ahead and make a static function inside of class. Okay, so if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.